I'm Taylor Bisciotti, welcoming you back to the NFL Network newsroom in Los Angeles as we continue our live coverage of the Bruce Arians retirement news, the surprise and sudden. It's been quite an offseason of news, and we're going to welcome in our NFL Network insider, Tom Pelissero, who was just at the annual league meetings in Palm Beach. Was there any talk of this while you were there?
Well, Taylor, Bruce Arians was also at the NFL annual meeting. I saw him several times. We spoke briefly, saw him out to dinner. He did his press conference. There were no signs in recent days outwardly that the transition was coming. However, there certainly had been rumblings within the leagues dating back to after the Super Bowl, then again after this season, all the transition with Tom Brady initially retiring and then returning to the team. At every step, there was speculation about Bruce Arians' future, but he told our reporters, he told other reporters, he said many times that he fully intended to return. It sounds like, based upon Bruce Arians' statement and communicating with some people within the Bucs organization, this is something that had been on Bruce Arians' mind for a while. And part of the reason he felt like this was the right time to transition into a front office role was he wants to give Todd Bowles, his longtime protege, the best opportunity to succeed on a Bucs team that is very much built to win now. Bowles played under Arians at Temple. He coached under Arians in Arizona and in Tampa. Of course, in between there was the New York Jets head coach and got a lot out of a team that wasn't exactly built to win at that time. Now a second opportunity for Todd Bowles with Bruce Arians shocking the football world tonight and announcing he is stepping away from coaching.
Thanks, Tom. We also have Sarah Walsh, our Bucs reporter, on the phone with us, who covers the team and is around the team all the time. Sarah, how do you think that Todd Bowles is going to be as a head coach?
Well, look, Todd Bowles gets a lot of credit, and deservedly so, for what he's done for this Tampa defense. And you go back, he's been there 3 years. This defense really turned itself around. And this was a defense, and I said this all the time before Tom Brady got here, that last year when Jameis was here, they were really, really good. And they were good because Todd Bowles had this unit playing at one of the highest levels in the league. So I think that this is a guy that is really well respected. I know he's beloved inside and outside of that building. And, you know, Taylor, we were just talking a few minutes ago. Yes, there is the thought that Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich, these guys were hot candidates in the league. And it was like, well, look, how much longer is Bruce going to be there? Would it make sense that they don't take any other jobs and they stay here? And this is where the future is for them. And I think we're starting to see that. And, you know, I think another thing, and I'm not sure how much of this played into it, but if you saw Bruce Arians, and we were around him on a daily basis, Bruce Arians had an Achilles injury last year. I mean, he was getting golf carted out to practice. I mean, he went through a lot to get through that season, and he's as tough as they come, right? So he was never going to miss anything. But you saw at the end of the year, I mean, he was having trouble walking on and off the field, and you had this feeling of like, gosh, like Bruce is, I mean, he's gutting it out there as much as anyone was out on that field. And I even saw him at the combine, and it was the same thing. He's been battling that injury, and not that that's the reason he steps away, certainly. But, you know, I don't think that this was the easiest job on Bruce, right? It takes a lot out of you. And I think that there's certainly, you know, you have to start thinking of your health, and physically it takes a toll. And we saw that with our own eyes on a daily basis. And I think Bruce, again, echoing what Tom said, he wants his guys to be in a position to succeed. That's always mattered to him. He's always surrounded himself with guys that he trusts and he loves. And Todd has answered the bell in every which way for him, especially here in Tampa. I mean, this is a wonderful defense. And again, Tom Brady was sort of that missing piece there at quarterback, but those pieces were all in place. And that defense, what they've done, I mean, obviously perennially, they've been very good at stopping the run, and that's sort of been their bread and butter, is just stuffing people. And then I think, you know, Tom Brady gets here, and he's Tom Brady, right? So he's the headline at all times. And I think what sometimes was lost in that is how good that defense really was. And at times that defense was carrying them. They may not have gotten the headlines, but this was definitely a defense that has certainly carried this team for the bulk of the last 3 years. And it was only recently with the addition of Tom Brady that this team really got firing up on offense. And I think that what you're seeing is a guy that has led that defensive unit and certainly is capable of leading this team onto the next chapter.
Tom, I've got to ask you, speaking of all the pieces in place, do we know who is going to replace Bowles as defensive coordinator?
We don't know specifically, Taylor. The Bucs have not announced that yet, though certainly one logical option would be Larry Foote, somebody Bruce Arians is really fond of, believes is a future head coach in the league, also played under Bruce Arians, although you would anticipate, too, that Todd Bowles is going to be very actively involved in that defense. That is his bread and butter. That's what he's done for a long time. One of the most aggressive, blitz-happy defensive coordinators, and they've got the personnel to continue to do it. Expect it's going to continue to be Todd Bowles' scheme, though certainly they'll need somebody to take over those day-to-day coordinator operations. Larry Foote would be a strong candidate to take over that position. And this is also, let's not forget this, a staff that Bruce Arians has put together, much like the one in Arizona, with an eye toward diversity. He had very much been an advocate for black coaches, for women in coaching. He believed that that was something that would strengthen your overall program. Now, Todd Bowles steps in as the head coach. This is not an interim job for Todd Bowles. He is the new head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He is going to be, if my math is correct on this, the 5th minority coach currently in the NFL, 5th minority head coach. DEI was a huge topic at the NFL annual meetings over the past several days here in terms of the numbers, things that the NFL is trying to do in terms of giving more opportunities to minority coaches to advance through the coaching ranks or to get into the NFL coaching ranks. Todd Bowles now getting this opportunity. Bruce Arians had long thrown his support behind him. Of course, Byron Leftwich, the offensive coordinator, another minority head coaching candidate who had several interviews this year. Bruce Arians wants to give Todd Bowles a chance. And again, that is part of the reasoning here that Bruce Arians used in his statement for why to walk away now. He wants to give Todd Bowles the best opportunity to succeed. Takes over a Buccaneers team that won the Super Bowl 2 seasons ago, went to the playoffs again last season, and then after the relatively brief retirement saga of Tom Brady, is back, perhaps the greatest player of all time in NFL history, to lead that team once again at age 45, Taylor.
And Tom, you mentioned the Todd Bowles statement. Let me give you a chance to read that. He said, "I'm appreciative of the Glazer family and Jason Light for having faith in me to take on this role, and to Coach Arians for his support and guidance over the past 4 decades. Tampa has become home for my family, and we are excited to remain part of this community for years to come. As an organization, we have all the pieces in place to continue the winning standard that has been established here in recent years. I'm eager to get started with our players, coaching staff, and front office in preparation for the 2022 season." Sarah, I have to ask you, there's been rumors and rumblings of the friction between Tom Brady and Bruce Arians all offseason. Is there any truth to that, and is that what led to this?
You know, I think whatever real truth is behind those rumors, I think that those are things that if they were happening behind closed doors, I would think that Tom and Bruce will leave those behind closed doors. And I know Tom has already come out and thanked Bruce and put out a statement this evening on what he's done for him. I didn't see that or hear that around the building. And that doesn't mean it didn't happen, right? But I think that there was a lot made early on when Tom joined the team about when he was in New England, right? You never really heard anything out of New England because Belichick doesn't say much. So there were times that Bruce Arians criticized Brady, and he would say, you know, that interception was his fault. But Bruce Arians is a really blunt person, and he doesn't sugarcoat much. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I know at times I think there's probably folks on the PR staff that wish he did sugarcoat things some more. And so I think so much got blown out of proportion with that. And, you know, he's criticizing Tom. Well, you know, Tom's a grown man, and I think Tom would be the first person to tell you if he threw a pass that he didn't like. You know, so I thought when that was happening that was really blown out of proportion, because I thought this is stuff that Tom can handle. Do they probably have really blunt, candid conversations? Yes. I think it was blown out of proportion more than it was. But again, am I in those closed door meetings with them? No, but I would tend to say that that's probably overblown, Taylor.
Yeah, Sarah, Tom Brady already released a statement on Instagram, and Bruce Arians commented on it, said, "Thanks, brother," with a whiskey glass. So don't go anywhere. We are going to have much more on Bruce Arians' retirement all night long on NFL and NFL.com.